I don't know how much you've been watching of pre-season. They've obviously been out in America. Chelsea played against Real Madrid, got beat. But some of the defending again, Carlton, honestly, is so bad. And I'm starting to look at Chelsea at the moment as a football club and thinking, you had it kind of getting it right with Pochettino at the end of the season. Fell out with him because of the policy of the football club. He's gone. You brought in Maresca. I'm not convinced.
Well, I said at the time when Pochettino went, I said that's a big mistake. But he was never going to stay under the regime that's, you know, allegedly coming out of there with Todd Bowley. Apparently he comes in the dressing room, you know, he's controlling the situation there. And under those circumstances, if you're a top coach, you're not going to work under those circumstances where the club are going out buying players. We see the same situation here now, 44 players. I'm not convinced that Maresca is the man to do the job. Yes, he did well at Leicester last season, but I think any decent coach would have done well given what was available to you at the time. And by the way, he nearly threw away a 17-point lead in doing so.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of problems at Chelsea because and this is happening all through football now. If you speak to managers in football, or a lot of managers in football, they don't do the recruitment. They have a separate recruitment of bringing players in that the manager has to work for.
Yeah. Do you think that's acceptable?
Well, I wouldn't do it under those terms, because the problem is, like with Pep might say, I want a centre-back, right? So they'll come to him with a list of centre-backs, and he picks the centre-back he wants, right? Yeah. That's okay, because I understand a manager's job's busy now. A manager doesn't really want to be getting involved with negotiations with agents and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's fine. But it's not right that managers, and I know managers in the game today who basically get told there's a squad of players to work with, and that's a problem.
Yeah, it is a big problem, that. I mean, look, there's obviously Chelsea, Man United are talking points because of the pre-seasons, but looking at Manchester City, looking at Arsenal, looking at Spurs, Arsenal look like they've done well in pre-season. They look ready to go at it. Alvarez has gone to Manchester City. Who do you think, who are title challengers? Liverpool in there as well? I mean, I think that Zupermendi looks like that's getting done, the holding midfielder.
Yeah, well, listen, season starts, you know, Man City haven't done a lot of business. Only one player they've brought in the summer, but you've got to start with them as favourites again. But I think Arsenal, they're improving year on year. They've done good business in the summer. Liverpool, I thought they had a good season last season. Again, haven't done a lot of business in the summer, but it's difficult now with the fair play. Teams are getting worried now. They've got to be careful. They've got to balance the books correctly. Yeah.
I feel like that FFP role has really hurt a lot of teams in the Premier League.
Well,
because what we're seeing now is young players being sold as an investment, basically. They might not necessarily want to get rid of them, but because they've come through the youth system, they can sell them for 100% profit.
Yeah, I know. And it's sad to see now, because the young players aren't getting the opportunity in the Premier League. And this is the problem we've got now. When you look at now, Gareth Southgate's gone from his England post, you're looking at where's the next thing the manager come from? Because for me, having played for my country, I want the manager to be English. I know people will have the consensus, will get the best man for the job, but it should be an English manager. Yeah. But then we go through the Premier League, where you start with Man City, foreigner, Chelsea, foreigner, Liverpool, foreigner, Man United, foreigner, West Ham, foreigner. We're looking at probably Eddie Howe's the top manager,
Graham Potter,
and Graham Potter, who's been out of work,
and Lee Carsley. I mean, we're going to talk about England a bit later on. He's going to come in as interim, it looks like, and he might do all right.
Yeah, well, they've done this in the past. They've promoted the managers who've been. With the under-21s. They've done it on several occasions before. Yeah. Howard Wilkins, Stuart Pearce and Southgate all being promoted. I mean, Carsley's a mate of mine, and listen, he's done well with the under-21s. I mean, they won the 2023 title. That's the first time they won it in 39 years. Yeah. So I think in their interim time, why not give it to Lee? Yeah. Why not give him an opportunity? This is what we're talking about, young coaches getting the opportunity. Yeah. Whether people like it or not, Southgate wasn't a successful or really successful league manager, but you can't argue what he's done in the 8 years while he's been manager of the national team. Yeah. And let me tell you, we're going to have to go a long way before people better what he's achieved over the last 8 years.
Yeah, I think Lee Carsley would be all right. You know, you've seen it with Spain and Argentina. They promoted their under-21s managers, De La Fuente.
Yeah.
He done it with Spain. He won the 21 tournament. He gets the job, and then he wins the Euro. So
yeah,
there is a process there, right?
Yeah, and I'm not just saying it because I know Lee Carsley. I think people will say, well, he's won the under-21 tournament. He had some talented players at his disposal. We can say the same thing about Gareth Southgate with the Euros just gone. So for me, I'm all for giving the young managers and young players an opportunity, because that's how you get progression.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the boy Mainu. How many people would have thought about taking Mainu to the Euros?
Yeah.
And he turned out to be one of our better players.
Yeah, he was.
Guy wouldn't have played if Maguire was fit.
Yeah.
Turned out to be one of our best players.
Yeah, probably was our best player.
Probably was, yeah.
Yeah, he's done really well.
Yeah.
Talking about Man United, obviously they've got some problems. Massive injury list again. They've got Euro, who they've just brought in. He's out for 3 months. And then Højlund's picked up an injury. A lot of fans have been moaning today on social media about the fact that the signings haven't again happened how they want. Do you think Man United can compete this year with what they've got, or do they need to sign players, don't they?
No, they're not going to be. For me, they won't be competing with what they've got. They need to sign players. They've made signings that just haven't worked out for him. Casemiro came and he started well, but he looks off the pace.
He looks leggy now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks his age, really, doesn't he? He looks his age. He's off the pace. Me and you, we had the discussion in Kuala Lumpur about Scott McTominay. I think he's, I think he's 100% wholehearted player. But if you're going to win the league title, you're going to compete. If you look at the previous central midfield players, I've just written down a few: Beckham, Carrick, McClear, Keane, Ince, Robson, Scholes. He's not in that ilk.
Do you not think he's good enough, though, to play for Man United? Obviously, there's talk of him leaving, going to, say, a Fulham. And we obviously had this with this chat. People wouldn't have known, but my argument was with him is that he made a difference last season. He comes on, he scores goals. Yes, he's not Paul Scholes, right? Yeah. We get that. He's not Paul Scholes, but he affects games and he makes things happen, and he knows what it means to play for Man United. Yeah, do you think Man United are losing them players?
No, well, what I'm saying to you is right. I don't disagree with that. I'm looking from a manager's point of view. You keep him in the squad. He scored 10 goals last season, seven in the league, and some very important goals.
Big goals.
You keep him in the squad. I was talking from a player's point of view, right? If you look at Scott McTominay now, he's been at Manchester United now. I think he's coming up to 27. He could be 28 soon. He's been there 8 seasons, and he's still only played 176 appearances, 22 games a season that averages out. That's league games.
Yeah.
Right? Now, for me, when you finish playing football, when I finished playing football, it was never about money. Was never about the money. That's a byproduct of what you do. It was about playing football matches and winning. And when a professional footballer, I've seen so many of it in the game today, when professional footballers do not, if it doesn't hurt you, Jamie, you play the game.
Yeah.
If it doesn't hurt you playing week in, week out, and you're happy to sit on the bench, and I do agree with you, you need players who are going to do that, who be your squad players, but I'm talking from a player's point of view, and from me personally, right, I would want to be playing every week. And if I've given it my best shot, as McTominay has given it at Manchester United, and he's going to be a squad player, you go and play. Look at Conor Gallagher. He's been told by the manager he's not going to play. He's brought in the boy from Dewsbury Hall.
Yes.
So he's going to go with Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. He's told him he's not going to play. So he does right, Connor. He goes, and that for me...
Do you think that's a mistake, though?
I think it's 100% a mistake.
Because I like Conor Gallagher.
I think he gives the team something when you've got the two players. He's not the most, as we've seen in the Euros, he's not the best on the ball, but he gives you energy. He goes and closes it down the play, makes things happen.
Don't you need them players in your squad,
you need
to let the star players like Cole Palmer to shine?
100%. I think it's a bad bit of business by Chelsea. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do.
But Scott McTominay, you don't think that's bad business for you?
I think if they could get 25 million for him, I think it's good business for Scott McTominay to go and play, where he'll play regularly at West Ham, at Fulham.
Yeah.
And then they've got to go in and bring in somebody better than Scott McTominay. At the moment, they lack that quality of midfield players. When you've looked at the likes of Roy Keane and Paul Ince and Scholesy and people like that, I mean, even if you talk about players who, I mean, you're talking about Michael Carrick, you're looking at players of that ilk. That is the quality they need if they're going to challenge the big boys in Man City and Arsenal next season.
Yeah. I hear your point. I just something about Scott McTominay. I just like he's Man United. You know,
he's not Man United if you're going to win the league. If you went back to a Man United side that was going to compete for the league title, McTominay would be hard pushed to get a place on the bench.
I know, but they had players like Darren Fletcher and John O'Shea and Ji-Sung Park who didn't play every week but come in, does a job for the side, and they're players that you need in your squad, surely.
But they're squad players. They're around. But Scott McTominay, he's not going to play regular football for Manchester United if they're going to win the league title. And look at the quality of the teams that are coming in for him. You know, if he was that. You know, I don't want to be disrespectful to Scott McTominay because let me tell you, I like his industriousness, I like the way he works hard and whatever, and he gives 110%. But we're not talking about he's available for sale, and we aren't talking about a Liverpool or those type of clubs. We're talking about a Fulham, who we're talking mid-table team.
The Sports Bar with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. Monday to Thursday nights from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.